All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of American Soil, American Soul 2. Get this over here. So I want to talk to you guys about some of my thoughts and recollections from the Georgia O'Keeffe exhibition, just a few minutes before we get into the deeper episode with Ashley. So one of the things that I really like to do is tie in things about art and how they operate in life to, things outside or external to the art world, and do some kind of some themes and address themes that I think, are art related, but really relate to life. And one of those things is about reverse perspective. And that's one of the things that I got from the Georgia O'Keeffe show. And what I mean by that is someone being able to take, and this someone in particular is Georgia O'Keeffe, but being able to take her experiences in one place and how she sees that and take it to somewhere else strikingly different and still make it applicable there, right? So what I mean is how she took her experiences in New York, living in New York for part of the year, and how she brought those experiences to New Mexico, and how she took the things from New Mexico and brought those to New York. Strikingly different places. It's, in New Mexico, she was in desert country, really open, really sparse, very limited color palette, if that means anything, or if that makes any sense. Just a limited number of hues that are there. And when I was in Arizona recently to guide, one thing that I always came back with is very red. It's very pink, right? It's very yellow. Like those are colors that resonated to me. So, one of the things, for example, that I liked was her ability to absorb and process the geometry of New York, right? And living there. And she was at the Shelton Hotel way up, 30-something stories up. But really take that geometry and use it in that understanding to reframe her presentations of her work down in New Mexico. There were a few paintings that she had done, smaller pieces. One that I remember where she was painting an adobe house, but she painted it with the same geometric lines and the foreground and background space using more rectangular objects and making something that really, making a structure and architecture that really kind of blended into the environment, using that to be more prominent through the use of geometry and the sky being the background that really pulls it out as well. And then on the flip side, taking the sparseness of Arizona, right, and applying it to New York, not Arizona, I'm sorry, the sparseness of New Mexico, and applying it to New York. So like where she was drawing some of the images, some of the drawings that I saw of the East River, you can tell that there should be a lot more there, right? It's New York, it's New York City. But she was able to really only dial into the most critical elements of a drawing to let you know that you're still in a crowded city, but how open the drawing was. And I'll put pictures up, here to show, to reference, but, the ability to be able to just take a vision and a perspective of one place and make it apply to another place. That's something that I really thought was awesome. And I try to do that a lot in my work. The other thing that I like to do in my work is collecting found objects. And I think I knew this without really knowing this or really thinking about it, but she does the same thing. Walk around and collect bones, fragments, pieces of nature, things in nature, collects them. And I do that a lot in my work through a lot of my guided hunts and things like that. I'll throw things in my game bag and stuff like that. So I thought that was really interesting and a cool way to relate to the artist as well. You know, and my last thing is the need to control the narrative of her work. She was always in tune with how she wanted to be presented, what she wanted to present, even down to monochromatic dress and style, you know, setting routines and the discipline behind being an artist. I thought that was really awesome too. And we'll get into that a little bit more with Ashley and everything. But really, one thing that I learned about Georgia O'Keeffe is she really commanded ownership of her work, her image, literal and figurative, and really her perception. And she was able to take perception in different places and make them applicable, you know, despite them not seeming to relate to each other. So that was one of the many things that I took away, you know, and I'm glad to have been. It was a great honor to go, and I'm grateful that the High Museum was able to make that show accessible.